So, uh, I'd like to begin our session today. First of all, good evening to one and all. I welcome you to the very first session of Coding Studio Saturdays on this wonderful evening. Uh, First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. I am Sai Kiran. I'll be your host for today. Um, I am the event lead for CodeChef VBIT chapter, and I'm also the DSC lead for Google DSC lead for our campus. So today's session, I'll be talking about what competitive programming is, why you should be, why problem-solving skills matter to you, and how you can go about developing your problem-solving skills. So with that, let's get started. So I'd like to introduce Coding Studio to you. I'm sure a lot of you are first years, and you must be really interested in the clubs around in and around our college, right? So we are the official programming club in VBIT. Our day-to-day activities include making solutions that solve problems around us, like problems which are faced by students or faculty or literally anyone, like even common public. Like we face a lot of problems in our daily lives, right? Like we try to develop solutions which can make our lives better, and make our students' lives better. And apart from that, we engage in a lot of competitive programming. Uh, like I'll talk about what competitive programming is and how why it's fun. Like we've participated in a lot of competitions. We participated in IEEE Extreme and secured a All India rank of 16. And we won Smart India Hackathon in 2019. And we regularly take part in hackathons and competitive programming contests. And we're also recognized as the CodeChef campus chapter. Uh, uh, and we are also recognized as the Google DSC chapter of VBIT. So we've had to work a lot to get recognized by these very reputable organizations, and our activities are geared towards encouraging coding culture in our college. So our primary mission is to encourage students to code and really develop the skills of coding. It's not just so that you get a better job or have better career opportunities. It's also about like it's about sharing the fun and the enjoyment that you get when you develop something on your own. It's really like making something with your hands, right? It's literally that. It's something every engineer should experience. So our medium of experiencing that joy is through coding. So yeah, we are Coding Studio. So in today's session, I'll be talking about why CP and why we are doing Coding Studio Saturdays. And also into the core part of the session, I'll introduce C++ and STL and why STL is like this a superpower of C++. So first of all, you might be begging this question, like your mind is begging this question, what is competitive programming? Like if you have never heard it before, like I never heard it before when I was in first year. uh, I'd like to introduce to this wonderful world of competitive programming. So before I actually answer your question, I'd like you to think about this amazing thought that Albert Einstein had. uh, he said that we cannot solve our problems with the same level of thinking that created them. So think about it for a second. Um, all our problems are easy to understand. Like think about COVID-19, right? Like everybody understands what COVID-19 is, but does anybody really have a solution to COVID-19? Like we came up with strategies to like decrease the rate at which people get infected, but do we have a solution? Like do we have a proper drug that can kill COVID-19 once and for all? We don't really have it yet. And it's not just COVID-19. Think about a lot of other problems in our life. Um, like it can be something very mundane. Like think about searching for information. Like before Google, it was really hard for people to find relevant places to find what they're looking for. Like nowadays we have Wikipedia, we have YouTube, we have Google, we have all these amazing technologies. But think about the time when we didn't have these. Those were the times when searching for information was a problem. And people like Larry Page, Sergey Brin, they thought of a solution. And the reason that they became so successful is because the kind of thinking that they had was different from what other people were thinking. So it is if you think about it, it's really the main reason why good problem solving skills are so important in modern society. So problem solving skills are really at the core of every engineering discipline. Like think about electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, aeronautical engineering, and of course we have computer science engineering. Each discipline has a different set of problems to tackle, but ultimately, a common set of problem solving skills is what like uh, brings to life the kind of solutions that we have today. Uh, for example, in computer science, uh, we have so many problems. Like think about sorting. Like if you never heard about sorting, sorting is basically arranging a group of items in a particular order. If you have a set of random numbers, then sorting them in an ascending order or in a descending order is a problem. Like you can think and you can think of it as something that you would use in a lot of applications, right? Like if you Google something, or if you go to YouTube and search for something, you have so many results, but they're sorted using sorted by upload date, or they're sorted by popularity. So sorting is something that comes up in a lot of applications. So there are a lot of problems like sorting in computer science, and all of them have solutions or don't have solutions yet, to which we need much more efficient solutions and need to come up with better ways of thinking about them. So, uh, like this meme really puts the problem into a picture. Uh, uh, Modern problems really require modern solutions. So what it's trying to convey is that we need better ways of thinking about the problem. Everybody understands the problem, but everybody doesn't think about the problem in the same way. So this is why strong problem solving skills really help you get that sort of thinking. The thinking habit is developed through problem solving. And one of the side effects of having great problem solving skills is you get really good placements, you know. Like it's not the main aim of doing CP. A lot of people do it for that, but you're really missing out the point of CP if you do it just for that. Um but anyway, it comes as a side effect, and it's a really good advantage that people who have good problem solving skills have. So you'll get excellent opportunities at amazing product based companies like Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google. They're referred to as the FANG companies because F stands for Facebook, A for Amazon, and so on. So you'll have great opportunities there. So that's another reason why you might want to do competitive programming well. So CP is really a sport. Like it's much like chess, you know. In chess, it's a mind sport, right? It's a mental sport. So people strive to get better at chess uh, by practicing a lot. They play a lot of games. They study past matches. It's a mind sport. So much like chess, uh, competitive programmers, they try to solve problems deliberately. They solve a lot of hard problems, and that's how they get better at it. It's really like anything in life. Practice makes you perfect at CP. Um, so problems vary in difficulty as expected. There are easy problems, there are hard problems, and difficult problems need much more complex concepts and techniques to be applied. Uh, and fortunately for you, it's not a very lonely journey. Like think about 1920s or 1950s, even 1980s for that matter, when there was there was no proper internet, and access to proper information and problems was really hard. But scientists still developed amazing algorithms back then. And that's how people got strong at problem solving, right? I'm talking about problems from computer science specifically. But you don't have to go through all that pain now. We have amazing platforms like CodeChef, CodeForces, HackerRank, and a lot of others like LeetCode. These platforms they give you a proper they guide you in a proper way so that you progress slowly, but your growth will be there. Like let me show you CodeChef for example. Aris, can you see CodeChef?
Yeah, Sai Kiran.
Yeah. Uh, what you're seeing right now is the website of CodeChef. So CodeChef is an online platform. It's an Indian platform. Um, it's a very popular platform for many of the competitive programmers in the world. Like even the top programmers in the world compete on CodeChef for better ratings, and a lot of people do it just for fun. Many do it for improving their ratings and getting better career opportunities. Like if you look at this image, it says top for performers. You can see this list, right? Uh, you can see that there's this person called Gennady Korotkovich. Gennady Korotkevich is a Belarusian programmer. He's very famous in the competitive programming world. Like literally any platform you go to, you can see his name on the top. There are a lot of people who compete at that level. Like on CodeChef, you have ratings. Every participant has a rating. Initially, you start off with something like 1500 or something, and and also accompanied with that rating is a star rating. So the first thing that people look at when they go to your CodeChef profile is how many stars you have. So stars go from 1 star all the way to 7 star. So like the kind of problems that 7 star people solve are really really difficult, and 1 star problems are really easy. So that's how the progression goes. And by the way, if you want to stalk me on CodeChef, you can find me by the username Sai Kiran 0000. So just putting it out there, just saying. And there's also another platform called Codeforces. So on Codeforces is similar to CodeChef. Codeforces is a Russian platform, but no matter which country these platforms belong to, programmers are everywhere. Like Codeforces is even popular in India. So you have regular contests every week, and contests vary in difficulty. And as you can see here, there are top performers even on CodeChef. And if you see here, number one is Tourist. And Tourist is the same guy which I showed you earlier on CodeChef, Gennady Korotkovich. His username is Tourist here. And there are a lot of cool people like this. And on Codeforces you even find blogs and blogs from people to help other programmers level up themselves. So you have a lot of platforms like this, right? We are at an advantage at this age. Like we have access to so many resources. So so yeah. So like you can register yourself at these platforms: CodeChef, Codeforces, HackerRank, LeetCode, and there's also Hacker Earth. So a lot of all these platforms are beneficial, and you can solve problems there. Mm. So the gold, the prize that competitive programmers crave for, like think about runners, like sprinters. Their aim is to get better times at going through a lap. Like if a 100-meter sprinters, they want to make the lap within shorter time periods, like 8 seconds, 9 seconds, 10 seconds. They want to go shorter and shorter. The smaller the time, the faster they are. And this is the kind of gold that programmers go for. Like this is a screenshot from CodeChef. So when you submit a problem on CodeChef, like when you submit a solution to a problem on CodeChef, your solution, your program is tested against so many test cases. Like each test case is a different input, and each of those test cases is more and more challenging. So it will grow in size. So initially, they may test you with two numbers. Next, they'll go with three numbers, four numbers, then 1 million numbers, and so on. And if your code passes all of them within the given time limit, then you get this really beautiful green colored chart you see. And I trust me, there's no better feeling than seeing this green color on your screen. It beats every other feeling in the world. So this is a like a heads up for you. Like when you start solving problems and you'll be looking for this more and more. So I hope that you're clear about what CP is by now. At least you have an idea of what CP is, right? So now that you know what CP is and why CP is important, you might be like looking for some help around. Like going through the CP journey alone is difficult. Like finding resources, finding other people who are interested in this stuff is kind of hard. But that's what we're here to help you with. Coding Studio Saturdays are weekly events. We'll do it every Saturday, 6 p.m., same timing. So, and we'll be having live sessions, live coding sessions. We'll go through the basics and slowly progress towards advanced topics. We'll be solving problems, we'll be going through demos and doing all the coding during the session itself so that you don't lose your focus through the idea that we're going after. So even if you miss any session, we'll be uploading these recordings on YouTube. So we'll share you the YouTube links as soon as we upload them. So yeah, this is what Coding Studio Saturdays are about. So as I just mentioned, we'll have live codings, demos for each new concept, and after every session, after we cover a topic, that week we'll have challenges for you, so that you get some practice with the concept that you just understood, and it will stick better in your head when you solve some challenges, you know. So with this, we now move on to our to today's session, like the core part of today's session. So one thing that I need to mention is C++. You'll see C++ everywhere in competitive programming. Like if you don't didn't already guess, all our sessions will be in C++. Like the coding part will be in C++. But there's no compulsion that you should only use C++. You're free to use whatever language you're comfortable with, but what we chose is C++, and I'll tell you why in a few minutes. But don't be afraid of C++. C++ had this weird, some people talk bad about it, like it's hard and but let me tell you what, it's not hard. It's not like what people say it is. You'll see that for yourself in a short while. So for these sessions, I'll introduce you to C++ and how you can use STL. I'll talk about STL in a few minutes. So I need to tell you why we are using C++, right? So the reason most competitive programmers go for C++ is C++ has a very good support for data structures and algorithms. Like C++ has something called STL. STL is like it's like a bag, okay? And this bag has all the components that a competitive programmer needs, all the parts, all the tools that a competitive programmer needs to solve a problem. And STL is a library of data structures and algorithms which are implemented for you so that you don't have to implement them when you solve problems. So uh, and also C++ is very fast. I'll compare C++ with other languages, but you'll see that C++ is used everywhere. Like you go to any top programmer and look at the submissions, you'll see that the submissions are in C++. And if you are wondering who this guy is in this picture, that is Bjarne Stroustrup. I wonder if I butchered his name, but he is the inventor of C++. A very cool guy, as you can see. Uh, I'm not sure if he really has such long legs, but uh, so yeah, he's the inventor of C++. You can thank him later for creating this language. So, now we compare C++, Java, and Python. Now, why did I choose these three languages? C++, Java, and Python are like really the most popular choices for programming. Like these languages come at the top. So, but why do programmers specifically go for C++ is Like I have some points here. Like the first thing that you need to compare is speed. Like when you solve problems, you want your programs to be fast, right? And C++ is very, very fast. In fact, C++ was built to be very, very fast and efficient. Like if somebody needs to build something that needs to run very fast and something that has to be reliable, then they'll build it in C++. For example, take take games. We take video games. Take Fortnite for example. Fortnite is built on an engine, right? It's built on Unreal Engine. And Unreal Engine is a game engine, if you don't know. Uh, and a lot of game engines are built in C++. The reason being that C++ runs very fast on a lot of hardware. And there's no extra steps in compilation, I mean, in execution. It generates machine code that's very, very fast. So compilers have gotten so good that even if humans manually translated a programming language code into machine code, it wouldn't be as fast as what compilers do now. So C++ is really, really fast. And about speed, so I'll talk about Java and Python. So a lot of people go with Java, but the majority is still C++. The thing about Java is that Java is not slow, but it's not very fast either. Java programs have an extra step between compilation and the final execution. So Java programs are both compiled as well as interpreted. What that means is Java programs are not directly converted into machine code. Java programs are first converted into something called bytecode, and this bytecode is again converted into machine code. The reason they do that is the bytecode runs on any machine, like it's platform independent. That means that the Java bytecode on my laptop will have no problem running on your laptop. But but in C++, the machine codes that is generated for my laptop may not run on your laptop. I'll have to compile it again on your laptop. So so the trade-off that we made for Java is that we made it cross-platform. That is, we made it run everywhere, but it comes at a cost of speed. And talking about Python, Python is similar, but Python is slower than both C++ and Java. The reason being that Python is not compiled at all. Like it's not converted to any bytecode or anything. It is interpreted completely. So what the computer does to execute Python is it looks at each and every line of Python code and converts it on the go to machine code. And this happens over and over again every time you execute your program. So, like imagine talking to a person through a translator. It will be very slow, right? Like if I want to talk to a Japanese person and I don't know Japanese, I'll have to use a translator, and the conversation won't be very fast, as you might imagine. So that's what happens with Python. The same analogy, if I use it with C++, is that if I want to say something to this Japanese person, I'll write it down in a big paper. I'll give it to the translator. They'll completely translate it for once and send it to the Japanese person. He'll read the entire conversation at once. I don't have to go one by one, one dialogue at a time. So there are different trade-offs between each and every language. And one important thing that competitive programmers care about, especially for CP, is the support libraries that these languages provide. For example, C++, like I already mentioned, has STL. STL is a library of data structures and algorithms, and it is very extensive and flexible. It has a wide collection of different data structures, and you can mold them as per your application's needs. So like there's nothing that you can't build. There's no data structure that you cannot build with C++'s STL. And it's similar to and Java is similar. Even Java has an extensive library of data structures. It's called the collections framework. And in Python, Python also has a collections framework, but it's not as extensive as C++. For example, in C++, there is a data structure called an ordered set, and Python doesn't have this ordered set. You'll have to write your own code, you'll have to modify it a little, and that's how you get your ordered set. There's some steps involved in Python to make an ordered set. So an ordered set is basically a collection of unique elements which are ordered in ascending or descending order. So such a data structure is not directly available in Python. And the last thing that I mean, the second important thing that competitive programmers care about when they choose a language is the amount of code they write. Like, let's say that you saw a problem and you want to write your solution. Now, it would be better if you could implement that solution in as few lines as possible, because it not only saves time, it also reduces the amount of mental like things you have to remember about your code. Like, uh, and Python is really good at it. Like this, Python is very popular for that same reason. The syntax in Python is very concise. You can express what you want in Python in very few lines of code. But and Java, not so much. Java is really famous for really long names and big syntax. And another thing about Java is that it forces you to use object-oriented programming. So if you don't know, object-oriented programming is a programming technique in which we think about writing programs in a different way. We think about data and what we do upon the data as the same thing, and we encapsulate in things called objects. We can talk about object-oriented programming in the coming sessions. So Java forces you to use object-oriented programming for every program that you write, but C++ and Python are not like that. If you want to write functional programs or procedural programs, you can go with you can do that in C++ and Python. You don't have to write object-oriented code for every program. So, this is a very short comparison of these three languages, and I hope that it is clear for you like why C++ is a uh, like a valid choice for competitive programming, right? So you guys got why C++ is used for competitive programming, right? Like even after saying all this, there's no force upon you that you have to use C++. It is just that most of the people who do CP use C++. It's just a thing in the sport, you know. But you don't have to stick to that fact. Like, there's no restriction upon it. Like platforms, like a lot of platforms, they don't they have different time limits for problems depending upon the language. Like if you write your program in Python, the time limit is a little more than what it would be for C++. So that you know it compensates for the language. Okay. So I spoke about C++ for so long. I think it's time that we dive into see what C++ is and like how a program in C++ looks like. Um, so what you see on the screen right now is a simple hello world program in C++. Uh, it's really just 7 lines of code. So it has two main parts. Uh, the first part, like as you can see in the dialog boxes, it's really informs the computer that okay, I'm a program. I need to print something on the screen. So the so what we're doing with this program is printing something on the screen, right? We want to say hello world. So we need something like if you wanted to draw a picture, then you need you'd at least need a pencil and a paper, right? You need something to that will help you write stuff onto the paper. So this is what the program is doing here. It's asking for facilities to be provided such that it can print something on the screen. So the hash include IO stream statement does just that. It imports the input output library and makes it available for us to use. And the next line, which you see using namespace std, we'll talk about using namespace std in some time. But for now, just remember that this line just makes everything available for the program in for like for us to use in the program. I'll talk about namespaces in a while. When I move on to live coding, I'll talk about namespaces. And the next thing is int main. Now, if you have experience with C programming, you recognize this function, right? Int main. Int main is the place where any C program starts. Like the moment you start execution of a C program, it goes to int main and then the first line in int main, and that's where execution starts, right? So it's the same thing in C++. Uh, so we go to int main, and the first thing that it needs to do is print out hello world. So the way we print out hello world is in C++ is by using an object called cout. Don't worry about what objects are and what cout is right now. Just remember that cout is a if you send something to cout, it will print it on the screen, and endl will tell cout to go to the next line. So the output will be hello world, and after that it will go to the next line. It's like backslash n in C, right? It's the same thing. So endl is the same as backslash n. So so basically, this is the hello world program, right? So in C++ a lot of other languages, the program mainly consists of two parts. The first part is where the program asks for what it needs, and the second part is where the program does its actual thing. So the first thing is that in our program, we need to print something on the screen. So we need to ask the computer to provide us facilities to print something. So the cout is a way for us to print something on the console. So to get cout, we need to include this library called iostream. It's a header file. Just like in C++, we have stdio.h, right? So iostream is the C++ equivalent of stdio.h. So we include that header here, and in the int main function, the first line is like the only thing that this program does is print hello world. So that's what we are doing. Cout hello world endl. Endl will take the cursor to the next line. It's fine if you don't use it here, but if you print a lot of statements, you want them in different lines, right? So that's why we added the endl there. And after hello world, we want the program to exit. It's done its job. It printed hello world. So the only thing left to do is exit the program. So we do that by return 0. Yep, cool. So now we can move on to the live coding part. So now we'll be exploring C++ by actually coding something. So I'll move on to Visual Studio Code. It's an
Yeah.
editor. So we'll write the hello world program here. So obviously the first thing that we need to do is include IOStream. You'll do this a lot when you write C++ programs. And this line I'll talk about in a while. Ignore it for now. I won't skip it, but for now, just remember that it's very useful. I'll talk about it in a while. So we type hello world, and there was endl, right? Instead of endl, you can even do this. Just put backslash n. Even this works. It's the same thing. And now you can tell your program to quit by returning 0. So this is a hello world program. Let me run it. So yeah, uh, as you can see, this is the output that we got. It printed hello world. So if this is your first program, then congratulations, you just moved into the world of C++. Uh, uh, and there are a lot of things to explore in C++, and I'm sure it's not very hard for you to learn. A lot of things are basically the same as what they are in C, but we'll go over them anyway. So I'll go over concepts one by one. So the first thing that you need in any program you might need in any program is variables. So variables are containers to store some data, right? Like if you want to store a number, where do you store it? You store it in a variable. And the way and the type of variable matters. So let's say you want to store a number 10. So I can use a variable of type integer. I'll give the variable a name, call it my number, and give it a value of 10. So this is how I created a variable and gave it a value of 10. And the type of this variable is an integer because it's not a floating point number. It doesn't have any decimal places and any decimal part. So that's why it's an integer. If I want to store a number with a decimal with decimal places, I would do it using a float or a double. I'll use double here, double pi. I can store the value of pi using a double variable. And there's also char data type. I'm sure all of you recognize this. This is basically the same as what it is in C. And these are the most important data types. Like another thing about integers and about these data types is you can extend the range. So int has a very small range. Like there's only like about 4 million numbers that you can store in an int. Excuse me. So the range of the int data type is around 4 million numbers. If you want to store larger numbers, you can just append, you can add long before the int. So it can store even big numbers. Like you can store a big number like this. And in C++, you also have a string data type, but you'll have to include the header hash include string. So strings are basically collections of characters, a sequence of characters. So I can store my name using a string. So now there's also the Boolean data type. Boolean is something that's not readily available in C. You'll have to include stdbool.h in C to use Booleans. But C++ has bools built in. So if I want to store Booleans are basically they basically allow you to store true or false values. So uh, you might want to use it like if you're making a game about a character if you're making a survival game, then you might want to store information about whether the character is hungry or not, you know. So maybe you want to use a variable like is hungry. Maybe he's not hungry right now. And later you can assign the value is hungry is equal to true. So this is how booleans work. And and you and you might want to perform operations on these numbers, right? Actually, before going to operations, let's print out all these values. We have my num. So you see how I'm using cout, right? I need to send the variables using this operator, uh, which is two less than symbols, and followed by the variable that I want to print. After printing my num, I want to put a space and then print pi, and then another space. I want to print the character C, and then I want to go to the next line and say that my name is, oops, I shouldn't have printed. I want it to come from name. So yeah, let's run the program and see. Also, let's print the Boolean value. Let's see what happens. The value of is hungry is. There's a small surprise for you here. Let's see what happens after you execute it. So yeah, This is the expected output, right? Um, so the first thing is we have the big number that we printed, and we have pi and we have a, and then it prints my name is Sai Kiran, and the last thing though, it printed the value of is hungry is 1, but I set the value of is hungry as true. But why did it print 1? The reason is that in C++, uh, booleans are internally stored as integers themselves. Like a non-zero value, a value which is not zero, equates to true. Like 1 is true, 2 is true, but 0 is false. So when you print out a boolean value, you get 1 by default. And if you print out false, like let me directly print out what false is. So I'll say false is, and I'll print false. So as you can see, this last line, it printed false is 0. So what that means is, since 0 is a false value, you get the false gets converted to 0, and that's what is printed. Any non-zero value is true. So these are the basic data types that we'll be working with in C++. Um, let's see how you can get input from the user. So let's make a program in which I want to ask the user for their age and tell if the age is even or odd. Okay. So how would you do this? Like, can you guys give me the steps of how you would write a program in which you would guess if like calculate if the age is odd or even? Like, just give me the basic steps. You can type it in the chat. Think about it. So obviously I'll need to like first ask the user for some input, right? Okay. Yeah, correct. So somebody gave me the logic for telling if a number is even or not. I'll just take it from him because I don't know how to calculate even numbers, how to tell if a number is even or not. Just copy it and paste it here. I'll use it later now. So the first thing is I need to ask the user for the age, right? So let's do that. So first of all, I need something to store their age. So I'll make a variable called age. And now I need to ask them for the age. So let's print a message and request them to enter their age. Please enter your age. Now I need to take the input. We haven't seen how to take input so far, but it's really easy. So to print something, we are saying C out. Now to take something, we say C in. C in age. So what this does is, it takes a number from the user and puts it into the age variable. So it's really as simple as that. So now we have age. Uh, Now we need to calculate if the number is even or odd. So if it is even, I need to print a different message, and if it is odd, I need to print a different message. So if it's even, I'll say that your age is an even number. If it's odd, I'll say your age is an odd number. So for that, we have the if-else statement. So so inside if, I have a condition. If this condition satisfies, then whatever is inside the if block gets executed, right? So the condition is this. I'll just copy whatever this person sent me. I'm sorry I didn't see your name, but thank you for this. So I'll just change the variable name to age. So if the remainder by dividing with 2 comes out as 0, then the age will be even, right? So that's what we'll do here. If age percentile 2 double equals 0, we'll print your age is even. If it's not even, your age is odd. All right. So yeah, let's run this program and see. One second, let me clear my terminal. Okay, let me run it again now. Okay. So it's asking me to enter my age. Oops. So 20 is even, right? So I got the correct output. It's saying your age is even. And now I can also test it with an odd number. 19 is odd, so your age is odd. So our program is working properly. So this is how you'd use if else in a program. I'm sure you already know this, but we're just going over some basics since this is our first session. Now another way you can test for a condition is using switch case. Let's make a program for printing the value of an like the English word for a number, for a digit. So if the user gives you a digit, you have to print its name. So first we'll print out, ask the message, enter the digit. We'll have to take in the digit. I forgot to make a variable to hold the digit. And now if the digit is 1, I need to print ONE1. If the digit is 0, I need to print ZERO, and so on until 9. So I can either write 10 different if conditions, or I can use something called switch case. Switch case. So switch case is a construct in which it compares the values with all the cases. You'd understand it better if I show you if I complete this piece of code. So switch compares this digit with all these cases, and whichever case it matches, it prints whatever is there after that case statement. So if the case is 0, we'll print out 0, and then we put a break statement. So using the break statement, it's telling the execution to come out of this switch block. So after you print a 0, come out of the switch. So that's why you need the break statement. I'll just paste the same line. So this is the basic program. So this is what switch case does. It compares your digit with all of these cases, and let's say my digit is 5. It compares it with case 0. No, it's not 0. Then it goes to 1. It's not 1. It's not 2. It's not 3. It's not 4. Yes, it is 5. So case 5 matches, and will execute cout 5, and then it will break out of the switch. It won't compare with any other numbers after 5. So this is our program. Let's run it. Enter the digit. I'll enter 7. So it says 7. Let's run it with 0. It says 0. If I run it with something that's not in the case, can you tell me what is not in the case? Like, give me an input which is not in the case. Like, tell me anything that is not in this case. Like, is there a case that we did not cover? Like, don't, not just inputs. Yeah, sure. 10, 11. Let's try 10 and 11. Let me clear this. Uh, yeah, let's try 10. So when I entered 10, it didn't print anything. So why do you think that is? Like when I entered 0, it printed. Yeah, exactly. The case is not there. Like I didn't mention, I didn't tell it what to do when it sees something that isn't there. So for all such cases, there's a special word called default. So what default does is, if none of these cases match, whatever is under default gets executed. So I'll tell my program to say I don't know and put a sad smiley when it doesn't know. So this is how default works. So if none of these cases matches, default gets executed, and uh, and your switch ends there. Before default expected qualifier. But you need a break statement for default. Uh, okay, all right. So let's try 10 again. Yeah, this time it says I don't know. Can you all see this? Yeah. So I entered 10 again, and this time it says I don't know, right? So that's what default does. There's one more type of conditional statement. We'll do the even odd thing again, but this time it will be much shorter. Okay, I'll just change the program a little bit. This time the program is supposed to tell me if a number is even or odd. So now I'll just put the entire line of code in one line. I mean, I'll put the entire logic in one line. So this is how it goes. uh, this is the logic, right? If the remainder is 0, then print even. If it's not 0, then print odd. So there's a special operator in C++ called the ternary operator. So how you use it is, first you put the condition, if I'm sorry, digit percentile 2 double equal to 0, and you put a question mark. So you ask this question: is the digit percentile 2 equal to 0? If it is, then this will be the value. If it is not, then this will be the value. I'll enclose this in brackets. So this is the simple ternary operator. So ternary operator has three things. The first thing is the condition, and the condition is followed by a question mark, and then whatever values here is the value that is sent to cout if this condition is true. If this condition is false, then whatever is after this colon here will be sent to cout. So let's run this program. I'll clear my terminal. Oops. Okay. Enter the number. Let's try 34. So 34 is even. So it printed even. Okay, let me run it again. 9 is odd. So that's what it printed. So you get the logic, right? So this is ternary operators are very useful for writing conditions like this. Like you don't using if else you might use up 4 or 5 lines, but you can if your condition is small enough and if you can think your logic is clear enough, then you can go with ternary operators. The next thing that comes after conditional statements is uh, iterative statements. Like you have loops. A lot of times when you write programs you want to do something again and again, so you can do that using loops, and there are three kinds of loops, so we'll go one by one. So what we'll do is we'll ask the user for a number, and we'll print all the numbers that come before that number and from 0 to that number. So if they enter 15, we'll start from 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on up till 15. We'll print all these numbers. So we'll let this logic be here, like this. We'll let these three statements be here. Enter the number, and after this we'll use a for statement. So for loop executes a piece of code. Uh, so this is the condition. So for loop has three things. The first thing is the counter variable. So the counter variable tells the for loop how many times it executed and when to exit the for loop. So instead of going forever, we need to control the for loop, right? We need a counter. So this variable is used as the counter. So initially the variable's value will be 0. This is the number that we want to print. So I will go from 0 to the number that we specify, less than or equal to. I said 0 to 15, right? So we also want to print 15. So less than or equal to and I plus plus. And whatever is inside this for loop gets executed. So each time the body of the for loop is executed, the i's value will be incremented by 1. So first we will print 0, I plus the value will get incremented, it will become 1, it will print 1, and it will get incremented to 2, and so on until this condition satisfies. So let's print the value of I, and so this is basically our program right now, just the for loop. So let's enter the number 15. So yeah, that's what we get, right? We got numbers from 0 to all the way to 15. Let me enter 10. So yeah, so this is the for loop for you. Mm, we have another kind of loop. It's called a while loop. A while loop is very simple. So the structure of while loop is a condition, and whatever is inside this while loop will get executed as long as that condition is true. So we want to print a number. We'll write the same logic but using while loop. So the first thing is, let's put the counter variable as 0. Initialize the number to 0. This is the number that we'll print. While I is less than or equal to digit, we want to print I. Okay, I guess that's it, right? We don't have anything else to write in the code. So let's execute it and see what happens. If you miss something, uh, I just wrote a while loop. Inside this while loop, I put this condition and I'm just printing the value of I. So everything looks good, right? So let's try executing this. Let me clear my terminal and run it again. So let's try 15. Uh, the program isn't working as we expected. It's printing all zeros. Why do you think that's happening? Like I don't know why it's not printing 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. It's printing all zeros.
I plus plus.
Yeah, exactly. I think I forgot I plus plus, right? Oof. Yep. Amazing. So let's try it now. So it's asking me to enter the number. I'll type 10 again. So yeah, this is what we get. 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on up to 10. So that was a while loop for you. And there's another kind of loop called do while. Do while is a little different. So yeah, this is the basic structure of do while loop. Uh, so what happens is the program goes to this line number 13. Okay, it initializes I is equal to 0, and it immediately goes to whatever is inside do. So do encloses some code. It closes some code inside it. So whatever that code is, it gets executed at least once. So if I type cout hello and I make this function false, I mean if I make the while condition false, it will still execute at least once. So even though the while condition is false, this statement will execute once. So let's see that happen. So as you can see, like the program asked for input, and then it went to and then it went inside the do while loop, executed the hello statement, and then exited the uh, do while loop. But it didn't check the condition first. So it went inside the while loop, and after that it checks the condition. So in some places where you need to do something at least once and only after that check the condition, you would use the do while loop. So if you want to print numbers like that, let's go with this. Cout I and L while I is less than or equal to digit. Let's see what happens now. I forgot I plus plus again. Okay. So I'm sorry, I didn't really go over the code. So so this is the do while loop that we have now. I'm printing I, I'm incrementing its value, and in the while condition, I'm checking if it's less than or equal to digit. So it's okay. Let's run it. Enter the number. Let's try 10. So yeah, it prints 0 to 10. So that is the do while loop for y'all. Um, so we've covered the most important tools that you need to write any program, right? We've covered conditionals, we've covered loops, and we've covered input and output. Like cout and cin are basically your printf and scanf in C, but much easier. The syntax is you don't have to write percentile s, percentile I, and percentile c for as for format specifiers for printing numbers, printing anything. You just have to send it to cout and it'll get it printed. So that is it for C++ introduction today. Uh, yeah. So see you all again next week. We'll talk about STL and I'll introduce some good concepts like stack and queues and vectors next time. Okay.